wait for the results of my biopsy. He walked in and I said, "Did I pass the test?" He looked at me and said, "No, you didn't. You have invasive ductal carcinoma. You can have a lumpectomy, you can have a mastectomy. Tell me now, I'm going on vacation." I was a tad bit stunned and couldn't give him a direct answer. And I thought my introduction was just a tad bit crude. But I don't think there is a good way to tell someone they have cancer. Ecclesiastes 3:1 says there's a time for everything, a time to be born and a time to die. Most of us are sure hoping our time to die is not cancer. We are afraid of the disease and its treatment. What helps? Psalms 56:3 says, "What time I am afraid, I will trust in thee." A strong faith really does help most people. 1 Thessalonians says, "Therefore encourage one another and build one another up." Here is where your support counts the most. Whether it's a car, a call, food, flowers, a visit, or a heartfelt prayer, all give hope and encouragement. I still remember telling my third-hour class I had cancer. When I went into school that day, I had decided I was going to tell every one of my classes that I'd be out for a while. Melissa Weissman raised her hand and she said, "Miss Vavak?" I said, "Yes." She said, "You are coming back, aren't you?" I knew what she was asking, and I replied, "Of course I am. You don't think I miss all this fun up here, do you?" After all the tears and the hugs, I backed out. That was the only class I could talk to. I thought they could do it by word of mouth the rest of the time. But I did appreciate their concern. Yet there are things we can do for ourselves, and one of them is not feel sorry for ourselves. Now, by George, that's a hard thing to do. My mother, Lena Revelle, first words came out of her mouth after she was diagnosed with terminal multiple myeloma were, "Well, thank God it's me and not one of my girls." Dr. Azores said she was the most positive patient he had ever seen. She lived 10 years instead of the usual 2. Two other things we can do. We can think up. And a little humor doesn't hurt either. Darlene Van Gant was finishing her cancer treatment at the same time I was starting mine. She called me, a stranger at the time, to offer her support and her concern. When it was time for her to go back to work, she called and said she wouldn't be talking to me much anymore because she wouldn't have time. She was laughing about her friends who were very happy to have her back to work, and they were teasing her. And they were saying, "Now, Darlene, don't you get back over here and start causing trouble." She said, "What kind of trouble can a bald-headed woman with one breast have anyway?" Darlene was a special, special lady. Third, be grateful. As long as there is life, there is hope. See the good in the bad. And sometimes the bad is a rather stupid thing. The first thing I did after coming home from the hospital was fall down out of the kitchen into the utility room and land on the concrete floor. Instead of sitting there complaining about being so doggone awkward, I sat there and said, "Well, thank you, thank you, thank you." Nothing was broken. I couldn't use a crutch under my arm then. I can't use a crutch under my arm now. And if we have trouble with that baby, be grateful. Be grateful we're alive. That's the start. Ida Jean Scott, my longtime friend, and I were both diagnosed with cancer in '94. Hers came back in 2003. After going to Texas and getting a small dose of chemo, she explained fervently, all I needed was a little hope. The cancer took her life, but not her spirit. Cecilia and I would take her for a ride every day after she got off work. On one of our last rides, she thought we were lost, as usual. And her response, as usual, was, we're not lost. We're simply on a new adventure. She had her class reunion, and of course she had her famous first party. She lived